like to introduce the report referred from the Regulatory and Safety Committee. 8.1.
Kia ora katoa everyone, Cook Islands Language Week. Thank you very much to the officers for their work on this, Paul, Veronica and Magda. So this report is from our committee, and it is the recommendation to incorporate the display of food grades into Council's Eat Safe Auckland food grading program and to allow the food safety information bylaw to expire. As a committee, we were pretty worried and we were trying to get our heads around what does this actually mean out in the marketplace for our communities. And we had an extra workshop to go through the food grading program and to understand more about the Food Act and the implications of this bylaw being allowed to lapse. This bylaw was introduced at a time when councils had fewer enforcement options for dealing with food safety issues. Since then, we've got the Food Act, which has replaced food grading as a regulatory tool and granted us much stronger powers and penalties to ensure the food sold in restaurants, cafes, and takeaway shops are safe. The bylaw's only function was to enable council to prosecute a business for failing to display a food grade. And this bylaw, this enforcement action, has never been used and no longer serves a practical purpose. Instead, what is used is an educational approach of displaying food grades without mentioning the bylaw, and focus our enforcement resources on ensuring food businesses comply with the Food Act. Given the bylaw has never been used, allowing it to expire would have no noticeable impact on food businesses or the public. Our Eat Safe Auckland program will continue to issue food grades to eligible business, publish grades online, and require participating businesses to display their certificates as they do now. This approach ensures food grades remain available to Aucklanders while removing a layer of bureaucracy that no longer serves a practical purpose. If we were to go out for consultation, that will be $20,000 spent on public consultation when we already know from officers' reports that the bylaw isn't needed. So we were also thinking about the cost to ratepayers. Allowing a bylaw to expire is not new. We took a similar approach in 2023 to allow the indoor domestic fires bylaw to expire because it was also found to no longer serve a practical purpose. Myself, committee members and the staff are happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Thank you, Vet. Would you like to move it?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, happy to move it.
I'm happy to second it. But okay, this is quite exciting, getting rid of rules. I'm beside myself with joy here. Perhaps I could get Paul and Veronica to answer any questions. That was quite fulsomely explained by Councillor Bartley.
Yes, I appreciate Magda's notes. It explained it much better, but I'm happy to answer questions too. Anyway, over to the staff.
Is there anyone to add to that, Paul?
No, Your Worship, nothing to add.
Any questions about this? Councillor Foley.
Kia ora, thanks Your Worship. Thanks Chair Bartley as well as the team. We did have a really good discussion at the Regulatory and Safety Committee, and straight after that meeting we saw the media come out with some quite negative headlines and story about what had happened. And did you respond to that? I mean, I'm assuming that you saw what was written in the media, and that reflected some of the fear that we had as committee members when we were talking about removing the bylaw. And the fear is that retailers, as soon as it's removed, there'll be no compulsion on them to actually display the food grades. And perhaps the reason why it's never been used is because of that. There's no need to enforce if people are abiding by the rules. Can you respond? Did you respond to the media articles that we saw? And do you have anything that you'd like to say about that? And then my second question is around what Councillor Bartley's just explained, I don't know that that's very well articulated in the public. And is there something that you as staff are able to do to make sure that that message gets out a bit more clearly? Kia ora.
Yeah, thank you. We were aware of the article and did respond pretty quickly to get some corrections made. We had drafted an explainer, but everything stayed pretty quiet, and so we hadn't put out any further information. The intention with this is to not share any information proactively, and we have a pretty carefully thought out explainer that we can share depending on the outcome today. In terms of messaging for the public, the key point is grading remains the same and that there is no change for all intents and purposes for the businesses and for Aucklanders, for our customers. Anything to add, Paul?
Kia ora, thanks. And if you can share that explainer so that we can share it in social media and with constituents that might contact us as well.
Yeah, I think if that's something that we'd look to share on our Auckland.
Patterson Hammond, please.
Kia ora, I'm not on the subcommittee, so apologies if this is ground that you've trodden over already. I just had a couple of quick questions. So is the idea now that or are you anticipating that businesses will be incentivised enough by the ability to display an A grade that will kind of keep most of them displaying anyway, and the signal to the public to maybe think again is if you cannot see any grade, is that sort of the idea?
Partially. So about 98, almost 99% of businesses are an A grade. As part of the review for the bylaw, the majority absolutely said they would continue to display the grades. At the moment, when we issue a grade, there is no reference to the bylaw. We don't take any enforcement under the bylaw. We have had, I think, 9 complaints over the last 3 years regarding grading, and that was all administrative. It wasn't about lack of display. And so it's not an issue that we foresee being particularly of concern.
Okay, cool. The other question I had was, I suppose, by being governed now by the Food Act in this regard rather than a bylaw, does that mean that it's nationally consistent? So if you're going on a road trip from Tiro to Whangarei and stopping off everywhere along the way, you've got the same expectation. Is that part of the incentive for killing the bylaw? No, not killing it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so the Food Act, which came in 2014, absolutely is the primary piece of legislation. There's nothing in the bylaw now that has anything to do with food safety, just purely display. And so those standards are national, and that's what people would expect, is keeping their food safe.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
If I could just add to the responses, is that
Yes,
right?
please sum up. Thank you, Councillor
Okay.
Bartley.
All right. So it's not a breaking down or lessening of any rules, because you've got the Food Act there. And when the grade is sent out to the takeaways or the bakeries, it will still have the same letter that's attached to it, which requests that they still need to display the certificate. So there's no weakening of the situation. Like, food safety is still the priority, and we've got the Food Act there. They will need to display it because it's part of the Eat Safe program, that they display the food grade. So that means the bylaw is redundant because it's already going to have to be displayed. And then you look at it from the other angle, from the consumer side. If people don't see a food grade, then they're going to go somewhere else, because you will think, why aren't you displaying a food grade? Have you got something to hide? So if shops don't want to lose their customers, it's to their benefit to display their food grade. So I hope that helps explain the situation out there. But really the bylaw is redundant because the requirement to display is already there through the Food Eat Safe program.
I think that's quite clear. On that basis, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. To the contrary, carried. Thank you very much for the work you've done on that, all of your team and Councillor Bartley.